The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Café.
Welcome to this episode of Pit Life BBQ. Gather round the pit with your hosts, Johnny Maggs and Messy Mike. Let's talk barbecue.
What's up, everybody? Coming to you live from the Studio 21 Podcast Café in Salem, New Hampshire. It's the Pit Life BBQ podcast, where we talk everything barbecue and a lot of other topics you would talk around the pit. As always, I'm joined by Messy Mike.
Hello.
I don't have to ask you how you're doing today because we've been in
All
each other's
day.
presence since about 5 o'clock this morning.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
Today was a good day.
Today was a good day. And, went better than I expected. Couple of issues, that could have went the other way, but we made it work, and, everything turned out perfect.
What we're talking about today is we had an event or catering event in south of Boston at a construction site.
I would say it was in Boston, but South Boston. So
South Boston.
It was definitely in the heart of Boston.
Definitely in the heart of Boston at a construction site. So it was quite the we got quite the amount of looks of passersby.
Yes.
In the middle of Boston, and there just happens to be a Meadow Creek smoker just bellowing around and wafting that scent of goodness throughout
And it was
the
a little
city.
chilly this morning, so the smoke just billowed. So
Yeah,
it's good the fire department didn't come.
Yes, they didn't come, so that's a win there.
Yep.
Didn't have to fight with them.
Yep.
So we decided today we're going to put you on the hot seat, my friend,
Excellent.
and we're going to talk about catering barbecue.
Know nothing about it.
No, nothing? Well, wing it.
I'll try.
We have an image to uphold.
I'll try.
How long have you actually been catering?
I've been catering for 5 years. I've had my own business for 5 years. I worked for another catering company, I'd say for about 2.5 years before that. And the other catering company, Big Pig, good company. They taught me, what I know today, managing catering wise. But, my wife sent me to all the barbecue regions to learn the real deal. So that was a nice little present.
Nice little present,
Yeah.
Would be, a nice birthday present, not saying nothing.
Well, if you're going to do it right,
I'm getting the look. I'm getting the
go
dead
all
stare.
in. Go all in.
I might be sleeping on your couch tonight. So, a few questions I have, because obviously I'm very intrigued on how you do it. As I help you out, and I sit here and I watch how you do it. And as our conversations during the week go on, you're telling me about this gig and that gig and anything we have going on our own team and between Pit Life team and the Messy Mike crew. The preparation of watching you seems absolutely flawless to me. You have definitely got this down to a science between you and your wife, Katie. I see Katie flying around the garage.
Getting everything ready.
Everything ready. She's just reaching arms and doesn't even have to look. She knows where everything is. And then we open that tote, and it's perfection.
Yes.
And then we leave it an absolute living hell.
Yes. That's every party. I mean, she does all she organizes the bins. She gets all the plates, the utensils, make sure we have everything for, the amount of people. Wet wipes, stuff that you wouldn't think of or I don't think of because all I'm worried about is the actual meat and the sides and making sure that everybody is happy with the end product. So that's what's in my head. Plus times, certain meats have to go on at certain times and, the food has to be ready at the time that the customer wants to eat no matter what. So, it's time management, knowing your pit, how long it's going to take to heat up. In the colder days like today, it was a bitch. It took a little longer, and it's not even that cold yet. But when steel gets cold, it's wet and it takes a long time. But I mean, she does everything. And that's the thing. We get on site, and we just know that the food's in the Cambros, or coolers or whatever, and you get on site and that bin is perfect. So you don't have to worry about a thing. You take it out, and then it's the actual process, and that's what you saw today. It's kind of a roller coaster.
Got a little feedback
Yeah.
coming on here of us.
Yeah.
It's not coming from this board, I don't think.
Well, so you saw the process today.
Yes.
And it's you get on site, you make sure that right when I get on site, I like to have my my smoker going. So right when you get on site, you get the chimney going, and your main point right there is the smoker. And then once the smoker's, you make sure that right when I get on site, I like to have.
All right, that should work better once we turn the phone off.
Perfect. Jeez. Are you serious? Oh, my goodness. So, anyway.
Well, you know what that means? Now I owe everyone a beer this week.
So, I apologize if I was a little, distracted.
I'm sorry, Ed.
John, you're forgiven. Everybody gets one strike.
Okay.
We don't work on
God,
strikes
man.
here.
Perfect. So, will you shut that thing off?
I'm
Jesus
shutting it
Christ.
off. It's off. It's off.
Mike's going to break that on you.
So, you get on site and you worry about getting your smoker up to temp because that's the most important thing. We have a smoker now that we smoke all our pork butts and briskets on, so they're overnight. And then once in the morning, depending on what time's the party, then, they're usually between 145, 160. But I have no choice. I have to wrap them. I wrap them in saran wrap and tin foil. It locks the heat in better. Plus, it keeps all the juices in so they don't seep out of the tin foil or as much. But then, you get on site, you get your stuff on, and then it's kind of a little lull. And then, setting up the tables and all this. But it's a roller coaster.
Can I ask a question of the professional? Because as an amateur, I always make way too much stuff. What goes into the planning on a per person basis?
So when I do events, and that's the tough thing, because some events, if it's a lunch, if it's a party, if it's an all day event, usually they say 4 to 5 ounces of protein per person, or 4 to 6 ounces. Yep. And then side dishes are, 3 to 4 ounces. And if you have more than one protein, then, it steps down from there. But I'm doing a lot of construction parties.
And they're hungry.
Yeah. Golf tournaments, they're drinking, they come back, and they're like animals.
I suppose it depends on the overall number, too, because it may even out over, a large group, right? If it's 100
Correct.
people versus, 30 people, well, if you got 30 hungry people, then the numbers aren't necessarily going to match.
Yes, and you never want to run out of food.
No.
So, you have some food left over, then, you bring that back, and you just get creative with it. Use it for another event that's, the next day.
Yep.
But, a lot of chilies for the wintertime, soups, stews.
Yeah, because that was really the major question I had. How do you figure it all out? Today was about right around supposedly 75 people. Mm-hmm. We had the golf tournament a couple weeks back. That was 150 people. Mm-hmm. You did the Manchester Brew Fest over the summer. That was 1,000 people. Mm. We're doing an event at the end of this month, and the guy was estimating about 5,000 people. Mm.
You do.
Are you really doing this math to the point of, like you said, 14 ounces? Mm-hmm.
No, not for events. For events, I'm doing what I can possibly do with capacity. So, if I know that, you always want to know the amount of people that are going to be at an event. And that can determine what you're doing. But like the Brewfest, the Lexington Barbecue Battle, this Oktoberfest, I'm going to do what I can possibly fit on my smokers. Because it's all day, so it's 11. This event happens to be from 11 to 8 on Saturday and 11 to 4 on Sunday. So, again, you don't want to run out of food, but you also don't want to make a ton. But all right, so Saturday I'm going to go all out. I'm going to make as much as I possibly can on Saturday, and then Sunday I figure what I have left on Saturday, and then I determine, if I even need to make stuff on Sunday, or, all right, I do need to make stuff. This is how much you're going to make because I have some stuff or nothing left from Saturday.
See, this seems harder than the guys in the food trucks because their rule is when I'm out of food, we're closed for the day.
Yeah,
So.
Yeah, and I'd love to do that.
Right.
But with barbecue, it's tough because in this region, if you say I ran out of food,
Right.
you might start getting bad reviews, and people will be like, how the hell did you run out of food?
You might run out of customers eventually.
Correct.
Because people just think, well,
Yeah.
I'm too late to go over there.
Yes.
I'm not
I mean,
going.
people don't realize how long barbecue actually takes. People know that, yes, it's smoked, but they don't see that a brisket can take anywhere from, 13 to 18, 19 hours, and a pork butt, 14 to 17 hours.
Yeah.
And, a lot of these places or larger restaurants, they'll make stuff and they'll throw stuff on the night before. They'll make all their ribs and their chicken, the day of. But they're making a ton of it, so they're letting it last, through the night or, through the service.
Right.
So till 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock till they're open. That's good, because you have to do what you have to do. And you have CVAPs and, warmers and stuff like that, which keeps meat pretty close to, the same quality as it came off the smoker. But, like Texas, you run out of meat, you put as much as you possibly can on your smoker the night before, and then you take all that stuff off. You put all your ribs and chicken on the same smoker, unless you're lucky and you have multiple smokers, and then all that food is for service for that day.
That was an interesting point. I think you're right. The average person doesn't realize the time involved. They're used to, okay, well, if you're out, throw it on the grill like a burger and give me something in 5 minutes, know.
Correct, exactly.
Like today's event, we had to serve at noontime. We were on a working construction
Right,
site,
you
so
can't be
they're
late.
on the time. The whistle blew at 1 minute to 12, and they were working there.
Jesus, 10 minutes to 12.
10 minutes to 12,
Guys were
couple.
coming up. I'm not shy. And, we're still bringing food into the chafing dishes.
So, it was
Yeah.
we had to be ready for noontime.
Well, see, I'm one of those guys that show up just a little early because I don't want to wait.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but like you were saying, a lot of people don't realize that process started at 6 o'clock last night.
Right.
12, 18 hours before we were actually put the first piece on a plate.
Correct.
Listen, Johnny, they just know it's delicious. They don't care what
that-
it takes to get there.
As long as the smiles keep coming in, we're good, right?
Correct. And then the one thing about catering that's tough is if you're a restaurant, yeah, you spend money on your product, but you can have that one rib that doesn't come out right, and use it for something else, or that one brisket that didn't come out right, so you're going to throw that in a chili. With catering, you have to be, right down basically to the inch, to food-wise. You can't make any mistakes.
With leftovers, I think you can do a lot with mac and cheese.
Oh, you can do a ton with mac and cheese.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to try some of your stuff at an event here at Studio 21. I had some ribs that night. I had some chicken wings, and we had extra chicken wings. So I think it was Monday. Jonathan made homemade mac and cheese, and he did a good job. It was an extra kind of saucy mac and cheese. So I was able to dip the wings in.
Now you're talking my language.
It was heaven.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
So thank you for that.
No problem.
There were
Thank you. You're welcome.
smiles on our faces.
Awesome. And that's another reason why I do this it's the, I used to be an electrician. I still am an electrician. But you saw it today.
You were coming up to me and go, how's it going? I go, it's going great. I'm sitting there grin to grin. Every single every person coming through the line. This is great. They're coming up again. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, creeps you out of nowhere. Where'd you come from? You got to put a bell on you.
Yep.
What are they thinking? I go, they think it's great. What's the matter? I can't watch people eat my food.
Yeah, it's one thing that I can't do is I don't want to watch people's reactions eating my food. I want them to, enjoy it. But they always come back and they always say, everything was excellent. Thank you so much. And, unlike any other industry, people thank you. And then you become family with those people. They call you for repeat business. So it's just making connections.
And you don't have to worry about me. If I didn't like it, I'd tell you.
And that's what I'd want everybody to do.
Yeah.
Because an honest review helps
Right.
you. If people are just saying, oh, it's good, which if it's not, then it doesn't make me get better.
Yeah, good doesn't really help in any way, right? But if I come to you and say, okay, I had a problem with the consistency of the ribs, right? They were too overdone, and I didn't have any chew or pull on the rib. Then you can at least take that feedback.
Correct.
Although you certainly know how to make a rib, but even feedback of that this is a little spicy for me. It's good for you to hear it, because if you hear it from enough people, then okay, for the average person, I've got to adjust this.
Yes. Yep. Oh yeah, and again, catering and even restaurants, you're doing that much quantity, that much volume. There might be, so when people go in, I had a bad experience or whatever like that, you're gonna get, one rib or one brisket or one, something that might not be up to par 100%.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we've had stuff that I don't think is 100%, but everybody else thinks it is. So it's a fine line, but at the same time, we throw stuff on a smoker, kind of like an oven, but it's different. It's almost like coming back to the basics.
Yeah.
You're smoking food. You're not cooking it on an oven with the heat. You're actually smoking it through a smoking process.
For me, different smokers have different personalities,
Yep.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Just like a woman.
Yeah. And, ovens do to a point, too, but they're much more consistent.
Correct.
You might have some with hot spots here or there, but smokers, really, you got to get to know them well.
Exactly.
And the thing with a barbecue restaurant is that differs from any other restaurant. You're not necessarily making to order, because there's so much time to prepare it. You can go to any restaurant up the strip here on 28 and walk in and go, yep, I want the barbecue chicken. And they're making the chicken right then, barbecue sauce, whatever they do. With a barbecue restaurant, much different.
Yeah.
You're not getting it. It might be sitting there for, a bit. You're keeping it as fresh as possible.
Yeah.
With the use of the Cambros and.
Yeah. A real barbecue restaurant is basically you're gonna smoke your stuff, and then you're gonna take it out, let it rest for a little bit, and then wrap it, throw it in a CVAP or a warmer, and that is basically a commercial Cambro. And then, you're going to put your ribs and chicken on and do the same exact thing. Your side dishes, you're going to put in a steam table, and keep them warm or cold or whatever. But, a real barbecue restaurant will, all right, you want a pulled pork sandwich. They're going to take a pork butt that hasn't been pulled yet, grab a bit off of it, pull it right there, weigh it, put it either in a sandwich or on the plate, and give it to you. They're not going to take it, put it on the grill, put sauce on it, let it heat up. You're getting the actual meat that came right out of the smoker, and that's the process. No dolling it up or anything. Same thing with brisket. You're going to take the brisket out of the warmer. You're going to slice it, weigh it, here you go. You know, you're not going to put it on the grill. You're not going to sauce the crap out of it. It's people come to eat barbecue for the meat. You know, sauce is second. People can add their own sauce, and, you know, they can put as much as they want. But, you know, real barbecue is minimal sauce.
Yeah, Johnny, you make a good point. It's not cooked to order unless you have 15 hours to wait.
Correct.
To order it, yeah.
Correct.
Call us the night before, put in your order. You know, so like some of the cigar dinners we've had, you know, we need to put in to a back when you could smoke still in Boston in restaurants, we'd have a lot of dinners at the Palm and Morton's and everything. We'd have to get the list together and call whoever was running the party would have to call 2 days in advance. You know, I need 45 cuts of prime rib.
Right.
You know, 2 end cuts and this, you know, because it's not, they have to get it in. It's not something that you keep on hand all the time at that quantity.
Right. Oh, yeah. And like prime rib, you know, kind of the same deal. You put your rub on it, and then you throw it in alto sham. And, you know, that basically cooks it with, you know, evaporation, water, so evaporation, I guess, I don't know. And that cooks overnight. And then again, you know, towards the center is going to be your rare. As you go out, medium rare, medium, and then your end cuts are going to be, you know, well. But yeah, same thing. I mean, it's an overnight process. But I mean, look at the final product. You know, you can't beat anything when it's done right.
Oh, today's cook was perfect. Today's cook was perfect. Everyone was thrilled. And going back to a previous topic we were talking about with, you know, quote unquote, possibly losing customers, there was a great event in Derry After Dark, where a bunch of restaurants get together and they block off, right?
Yep.
And you were telling me that once the gates open, there were people who literally ran to your site, and the first thing was going, I'm coming to you first because you were sold out last year. I didn't get the opportunity to see what everybody was raving about.
Correct.
So that's a great thing.
Yes.
You know, that's going to put a little bit of a smile on your face.
Oh, it does. I mean, when you sell 40 racks of ribs in 20 minutes, I mean.
Although I got to tell you, I used to go to a lot of these where there'd be, you know, all kinds of people set up, and I just don't have the patience because, you know, there's such a big crowd.
There is. There was, I mean, the crowds are for the beers.
Yeah. Well, you kind of have to, you know, set your strategy. Okay, I'm going to get some ribs here and take those to wait in this line to get some of this.
Oh, exactly. And I mean, we used to do the Deerfield Fair too, which is that I think that was this past weekend, and I mean, same thing. You had people that you couldn't even see the booth across from you because of the amount of people, you know, and people were just waiting in line after line after line. It's crazy for food. I mean, you know.
But great food.
Yes. Yes. I mean, people wait in line for 2 things: food, which ice cream's part of food, and beer.
True. Two very true statements. Well, great job.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for this week, guys. We'd like to thank you all for joining us. We'd love to hear from you. Please send your questions and comments to pitlifebbqpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on social media. We're on Facebook at Pit Life BBQ Podcast. Join the group page, Pit Life BBQ, also on Facebook. You can catch us on YouTube. If you can't catch us live, you can find us on iTunes and any other podcast carriers you use. And once again, please, we'd love to keep this going for you. Please subscribe, like, rate, and review. It goes a long way, helps us out.
If you love it, if you hate it, just let us know.
If you got any topics that we haven't covered so far in, I think this is our 9th episode.
Yep. If we have any questions,
get in touch with us. Let us know, and we'd be glad to look into it and talk to it with you. That's it. Until next week. Want to say goodbye?
Have a good night.
Keep the smoke rolling, guys.
If you views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.